When you live in town and have homesteader dreams like I do, you may have wondered if backyard chickens is right for you. I've owned chickens now for 3 years, and I'm going to tell you the honest truth about owning backyard chickens and my experiences with pretend homesteading. First of all, when I was a teenage girl, I hated chickens. I wanted nothing to do with them. My parents had them on their city lot, and they just always made a horrible, nasty mess. They were free range, and I did not like it. My job every day was to go out and feed them before school, mind you, and they would make a mess all over the patio, and I would step in it. Yuck, I did not like it. I have found a way where I can live with chickens and be very satisfied with it. But first, what we're gonna do is talk about the cons. Okay, the first con, I hate to say it, but you're going to get rats. That's a fact of life. It was absolutely horrible coming out here one day, and there was one inside the run. Oof, you know how Indiana Jones was only afraid of one thing, and that was snakes? Nothing else scared him. That's me when it comes to rodents. So for me, finding a preventative rather than a deterrent was the key to my success. Rodent-proof your coop and run. Everyone knows this. Not everybody does this. Like me, unfortunately. Oops. That's okay. Because now I'm going back and I am finding all the spots where I have missed or I didn't get to the first time, and I am putting new hardware cloth in those spots. So in my coop, I have tons of nooks and crannies that really don't have a space, and I purchased that. In the run, I am now going on the inside of the run, down at the bottom of the base, and I am adding more hardware cloth to it so that it prevents anything from digging holes and climbing into the coop. Remember, rats can squeeze into any size that's the size of your pinky. Yuck. Now, one thing I don't recommend is actually poison. We don't want to use poison because suppose the rat eats your poison. Well, your cat or your dog or an owl or a hawk even, they come down, pick up that dying rodent and they eat it, or dead rodent and they eat it. Well, they're just ingesting the poison themselves, and that will make them horribly sick, or even worse, dead. We don't want to poison animals. For me personally, rat traps won't work. I have dogs, I have cats, I have kids, I have chickens. Those things snap. Have you ever seen a rat trap? They're huge. They're not little tiny mouse traps. They're just ginormous little things. So no traps for me. So I needed to find something else that will work safely with my pets and get rid of the pests once and for all. And I have found it. If you don't do any of the other advice I give to you, this is one I'm guaranteeing that you're going to love. It's called Rat X. It is the best product that I have ever found, and I can guarantee you it works. Rats are very attracted to it. They love the smell, they love the taste. You sprinkle some out, they come and get it, they nibble on it, they love it, they take it back to their colony and serve it to their family. Well, what ends up happening is they get horribly dehydrated from this stuff until they die. Yes, I know, gruesome, but that's what I want. Truthfully, guys, it's them or it's my chickens, and obviously I'm keeping my chickens, so they need to go. So yes, I'm excited. They die, they leave, and they don't come back. Radix is made of 100% natural ingredients of corn gluten meal and sodium chloride, which is basically just, it's salt. The stuff dehydrates them until they die. Oh, and bonus, because of the dehydration, it mummifies their body to like 90% so that they don't smell when after they die. I know, right? Amazing. We tried this once and haven't had an issue since. Seriously, best stuff in the world. You get this stuff, it's amazing. Another con is you're going to get flies. That's just a fact. You know, we live in the valley, we have dogs, we have cats, we get flies, that's just it. But once we added the coop and the run, and the chickens, that was a game changer. We have never had so many flies as we did the very first year. Now, have I solved this problem? Unfortunately, I have not. I have not figured out how to get rid of it, but I have figured out how certain things that have helped, and I plan on trying new things this year that my hope will solve the problem completely. So obviously, the first thing I did was I hung up fly tape. In fact, you can probably see some right behind me. I have a lot of fly tape hanging up in there, and that catches any of the flies that are just floating around on the top. I've also sprinkled diatomaceous earth onto the ground to kill any larva eggs that are in there. And it has helped, I'm sure, but I'm telling you, once those misters come on, I live in the valley and we have to have misters for our chickens in the summertime. It just gets too hot. And once those misters comes on, I'm telling you, that's when the breeding ground really happens. So I have a couple of solutions of what I'm gonna do differently this year to really help and see if actually it helps with the fly issue. So I have a timer set up now. It's called Beehive, and I'm going to set it up on the timer. I did this last year as well, but what I did was I had it turned on, I think by 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and it stayed on until about 6 o'clock at night, every single night. And what happened was the ground was getting saturated, which meant more of a wonderful place for all the maggots to grow. So what I want to make sure that we do this year, we have the misters turned on for 1 minute and off for 10 minutes. And my hope is doing that rotation 1 minute on, 10 minutes off, will make it so the ground doesn't get saturated and therefore won't get any maggots to grow into flies. Another thing I'm going to do this year is I'm going to try agricultural lime. I hear that really helps with the run. So if you do try that as well, make sure you get the agricultural variety because that will really keep your chickens safe. Now another con is that the coop and run smell. That's just a fact. Now mine currently does not smell. It is winter, so really there isn't any heat to heat up the odors or anything, but I haven't cleaned it all winter long. So I know it's definitely time, especially now that spring is starting to approach. I'm going to be cleaning it out. But the point is, it's actually not high maintenance. That's actually a pro, not a con. So here's the thing. When your coop smells, clean it. Simple as that. But I'll tell you, once those misters turn on again, that's when the smell really hits up. I guess flies and smell really play hand in hand together because it's going to be focusing mostly on my misters. Changing my misters over to 1 minute on, 10 minutes off really should help because if the ground doesn't get saturated, it's not going to really heat up the smell. So I'm really hoping that that fixed my problem this year. What I'm also going to do is right now I have a dirt floor and I hear that could possibly actually be the reason why I have a lot of smell in the summertime. So I'm actually going to be adding in non-dusting sand this summer as well. And hopefully that'll be an easy cleanup first of all and help my problem with flies and help my problem with the smell. Make sure to stick around in June or July to see if it actually fixes my problem. All right, the next negative is expense. Having chickens is actually quite expensive. I was not prepared for that. In fact, before we got chickens, before I started this whole endeavor and I was doing my research, I was trying to find ways to convince my husband that this was the right choice for us. We're gonna save money on eggs. We're going to, have free eggs all the rest of our lives, da 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 da. Well, he didn't believe it. He let me have chickens anyway, and I'm gonna tell you, he was right. They are the most expensive eggs I've ever purchased. That's just a fact of life. First of all, whether you're buying the coop or building the coop, I live in California. Wood's expensive here, so it's going to cost a lot of money just to get the setup ready. You're gonna have to build a brooder for the babies and a heat lamp to keep them warm because they can't come into the run right away. They have to be at a certain age before they can come out, and the temperature outside has to be a certain temperature before they can come outside. So that's an extra setup, not including all the feed that they need to and the treats that you give them if you give them treats. So my girls do get treats. They love the mealworms and they love the flies, and thankfully they eat it right out of my hand, which is so cute because it's funny that I would have never touched those things before, and now I, to feed my girls, my chickens, absolutely 100% I'll touch those things, and they love it. My coop itself, we actually purchased that at a local feed store, and that was at around $500. The run we made ourselves, and I can't tell you how much it costs, but it's made out of all redwood because I love the look of it. My cabin is made out of redwood, and it is just a look that I absolutely love. So anything I can bring that reminds me of the cabin when I'm at home, I try to implement, and that's what I did with the coop and the run. I want it to look like my cabin, so that's why I have it out of this. Plus, it's a very durable wood. Also, because my girls aren't free range, they do stay in their chicken garden or they stay into their run, which means that I have to really add a lot of food into their diet to make sure that they get enough food. And that's expensive. Now, here's the dreaded one. What to do with the girls when they stop laying. I know. We don't live on acreage, we live in town, and in our town, we are only allowed to have 6 chickens per city lot. That's it. So whether I have chickens that lay eggs or chickens that don't because they're already too old. My 2 Orpingtons, I have buff Orpingtons, they are 3 years old, and they're at that age now where they're starting to decline how much they actually lay. So I have to come to the realization that this is the time where I need to make a decision on what I'm going to do. I don't want pet chickens. I want working chickens. and I have to decide whether they're going to end up in a stew that I make one day, or if I'm going to give them to someone who lives on acreage who wants just chickens to roam around. I haven't made that decision yet, but that's something that every person who gets backyard chickens has to make the decision. My parents, they had chickens and they just kept them until they died at the very end. And that was okay with them, but that's not okay with me. I do want production, and that's most important for me because I am a pretend homesteader. So when you go and get chickens yourself, you're gonna have to make that plan on what you're gonna do with your girls when they stop laying. You can love them, give them a good life, but you also need to know and prepare yourself and tell yourself over and over again what their purpose is in your family. And good luck with that, because that's not something I really want to deal with, and we are at that point now. Now, I'm done talking about the bad stuff. That's too sad. So we're gonna go on to the positives now. And I'm telling you, the positives outweigh the negative every day of the week. Positive number one, you get to come into your own backyard with your own cute little basket and collect eggs. That is my favorite task, and unfortunately it's my children's favorite task, and I have 5 of children, so we all have to really kind of hurry to the coop as quickly as possible to gather eggs, because it's so much fun. Gathering eggs from your own chicken coop is the most satisfying feeling ever. And I'll tell you, when your kids complain about having to buy store-bought eggs and eat store-bought eggs, and they only want mama's homegrown eggs, guys, that fills my cup every single time. I absolutely love that. When you crack open your eggs and it's dark yellow, you know that you did that. That dark yellow, you don't get that from a store. That is from your nutrients, the things that you have given and sacrificed to your chickens to serve you. It's a wonderful thing. So my kids and I, we love to crack open our eggs and see how dark the yolks are. You do also need to know if you have the space for chickens. My coop can actually hold 6 chickens. Currently, I have 2 3-year-old Buff Orpingtons, and I have 2 baby Black Copper Morans they're almost 8 weeks old. Every breed has their own standards. What they do, their temperament, how many they lay a week, how much or what colors they lay. Those are all things that you get to decide when you actually purchase your own chickens, or before, I should say, you purchase your own chickens. Now, I had a list of criteria, 3 criterias of what I demanded in a chicken before I purchased them. Number 1, they needed to be the most friendly chicken, hands down. My second criteria was egg protection. I wanted as much as I possibly could get out of my girls. Third was colors. I wanted an array of colors. I don't want just plain white eggs. I want an array of colors, and I think I'm gonna get that this year, which I'm so excited about. So when you go to choose your own chickens, you get to choose all these criterias that will work for you and your family. Now, when we first got the chickens, I was giving them fresh food and fresh water every single day, and I was really overwhelmed with that. So eventually I'm like, nope, enough is enough. I need to simplify these chores. So what we did instead was we bought a 5-gallon bucket. Looks like it was from Ace Hardware. I bought some cups on Amazon that are meant for giving them water. And how it works actually is they put their beaks into the water and it fills up with water every single time. I fill up this jug, I'd say once a month. It doesn't look very good, but because I love it so much, I really haven't cared so much about how it looks. Maybe this summer I'll actually paint it, maybe paint it like a copper color or something, just to make it look pretty and elevated. That I also have raised it up onto bricks to make sure that there's plenty of room underneath for the cups to just move up and down. There's nothing blocking it. The dirt doesn't get into it, because that was the biggest thing. The dirt was getting into the water all the time. I also have the feeder on the side over here, and that's just laying on the floor as well. I did get a big one, so I'm only filling it up probably about the same, about once a month or so. Now granted, I only have 2 chickens eating out of it right now, so that's probably the reason why I'm not filling it up as often as I probably will when I have 6 chickens, but that's okay. But what I should do is actually string it up to the ceiling, hang it up there, and that will help deter rodents as well. Now, if you already have pets in the home, you do want to make sure that your pets will get along together. Sometimes you can't untrain a dog, or a cat for that matter, if they want to hunt and animals. That's just a fact of life. So you got to know if your animal is trustworthy. I know a lot of experts say never leave your animals around, the livestock. You know what? I have a dog named Lily, and she is the most perfect animal creature, and she loves these chickens like they're her own babies. So yes, I do leave her around my chickens, and she's perfectly fine, and they all love each other. They live cohesively very, very well. Our other dog, Gus, on the other hand, I've not given him the opportunity to do that because he kind of gets an interesting look in his eye when he sees the chicken. It's kind of like, you know, in the cartoons from the 80s, you know, where it's like all of a sudden the dog imagines like the bird that turns into like a chicken bone, right? That's kind of the look he gives. I don't know what he'd actually do, but I don't really want to try it. Maybe, you know, like when your kid also is going onto the playground for the first time and they want to try something new and you're like, I can't look, so you like turn away so you don't see what's going to happen. That's kind of what I want to do with Gus. I want to kind of just let him loose and just walk away and see what actually happens. I haven't done that because I don't want to hurt or dead chicken. But, you know, it's like the only way I'm going to actually find out for sure if he's going to do something. So, I don't know. So know your pets, know which ones are allowed to be around them, and know which ones need to be watched a little closely. Now our cats are absolutely fine with the chickens. My son just moved back home with us about 6 months ago and he brought his cat as well, and that cat had never been around chickens. That cat is perfectly fine around them too. I think it's the size, because they're practically the same size, and I think that's the reason why they don't bother them. But so far I keep the babies out here during the day as a transition period, and they're not bothering the babies either. So I think our cats are fine. Again, I don't know what your animals are like, if you have cats or not, but there's only one way to find out. Now, I hope this information was helpful to you, and if it helps you decide whether your backyard chickens is right for you. I will say that even with all the problems, all the yuckies, it is still worth having chickens for me. I absolutely love this. And if you like what you learned, stay tuned for my next video, because it's going to be all about turning this plain parterre garden into a beautiful garden of my dreams. All right, guys, see you next time. Bye.